A couple episodes ago, I embarked on a very massive project. You see, I wanted to transform this entire area into a horse racetrack, training ground, and a sanctuary. And on top of that, I wanted Minecraft's fastest horse, a horse that could go 14.23 blocks per second. And I know, that doesn't sound near as fast as an Elytra, but when you take the time to create beautiful worlds like I do, sometimes you want to slow down and enjoy the view. So on top of getting the fastest horse, I had to split this project into 3 episodes. This is part 2, and it took me 200 days building. It took me another 100 days breeding horses. So I hope you appreciate this episode. Let's get into it. Since I got these sniffer eggs last episode, I decided it was a good time to breed up some sniffers while I was doing all this terraforming. I started by going around and filling up some random holes, lighting up some caves, and filling in those holes. All in all, the process was pretty much remove some gravel, put some grass in its place, and move on. I eventually wanted to turn this entire area into moss, which meant that all the gravel had to be dirt or grass, meaning I'm about to use a lot of my spare dirt. Of course, in between all the terraforming, anytime I needed a break, I went over and tried to breed up some more horses. I knew this was going to take the longest out of anything I tried this episode, so I tried to be nice to myself and space it out as much as I could. As I got closer to terraforming the top of the hill, I got dangerously close to these charged creepers that I stored from a couple episodes ago. But I know what you're thinking, okay? Listen, Coda ain't no scaredy cat. The only reason I'm using this bucket of water is because it's smart, okay? Not because I'm afraid of the charged creepers, it's because it's smart, alright? No other reason. Eventually I got to a point where there was no more gravel left on the hill, which meant it was time to start outlining a fence, and since 1.20 just came out, I figured what better fence to use than bamboo. The moss is going to be super green, I plan to use a lot of browns and reds and kind of muted tones, so I think this bamboo will stick out nicely. Now that I had the whole fence line in, it was time to start spreading the moss all around, all across this entire enclosure. I took a quick second to marvel in my success, have a little breath of fresh air, and then got right to tearing it all back out. Not all of it, of course, but I had to get rid of the moss carpets, the azalea bushes, and the grass, because that wasn't quite the vibe I was trying to go for. Now that I had a blank canvas to work with, it was time to start outlining some areas for the builds that I wanted to incorporate in this horse sanctuary, and also take the time to carve out some coarse dirt roads. Now at first I didn't want these to just be plain old coarse dirt roads, so I gathered some materials to kind of texture up the roads a little bit and make them feel a little bit more worn and a little bit more muddy. And this included some stripped spruce logs and some brown mushrooms and also some packed mud. And I like it? Do I like it? It is a bit much. Maybe I don't like it that much. I figured maybe it would look a little bit better if there were some builds around, so I built a pond, and then some feeding troughs. And this is what the beauty looked like after all was said and done. And then I started on a stable. I said started on a stable. The nerve of some people. You'll be quick to notice that this is just the exact same stable that we have from the last time. Hey, what can I say? I gotta keep on theme, alright? And speaking of theme, I made a wheat field and forgot to record it, so here's a wheat field. And while we were waiting for the wheat to grow up, there kind of spawned one of these guys, and I had him. I wasn't on the ropes. I got them. And so now we have some skeleton horses. And after those incredible pro gamer moves, I decided it was time to hang up my hat and get back to building because, you know, I can't PvP everything in this game. Gotta do a little bit of building here and there, and so we're building up a bigger stable for all of the regular horses. Yeah, it's a stable, and it's thematically appropriate, I think. Ooh, chic interior. Okay, we're moving on. Now, I sat on these roads for a while, but I finally decided it just wasn't the move, and regular coarse dirt roads were a lot better. But you know what's not better? This sugarcane farm is not cutting it. Like how I did that segue there. Not only does it break every time we log out, but I have also completely depleted all of the sugarcane supplies that I had stored up. So we're gonna build a new one. a temporary one that can't break. Now, in case it wasn't obvious, I needed sugar to breed horses at a rapid pace. And I think I started off with like 4 or 5 double chests full of sugar, so yeah, might need to find some better way to do this. We're definitely gonna need a lot of sugar. And while that gets us some sugar, I think I want to build again. For this little circle, I want to put in a gazebo just like we have over at a Hall of Trophies. This one uses some deep slate, andesite, and some mangrove, so it should be pretty easy to copy. It's pretty simple. Did some light redesign, and this looks so much better. And since I was in the area, it seemed a good a time as any to remove these stone outlines and put some actual jumping pillars in place. After that, I went right into freehanding a little build that I was going to use as like an observation deck, I guess, for the horses training in the area. And after just a couple of extra details, it's looking a whole lot better. And I know. Look, okay, it's supposed to be a speed camera. You know, it's sitting right here. It's monitoring the horses that are running back and forth and getting how fast they are. I know it doesn't look like it. Trust me, I know. But it's a speed camera. We got other details in here too. And the camera. Alright, don't flame me in the comments. I tried. Moving on, look at the pond. Isn't it so beautiful? Yeah, this looks better. I'm done. I'm completely done. I have spent an incredible amount of time breeding horses. And not only breeding them, ladies and gentlemen, I have something very grim to show you. You see, I have killed over 1,003 horses. I didn't get there. I didn't get the fastest horse in Minecraft. But after 1,000 horses bred, I think it's time for me to give up. You see, we might be able to get out of this on a technicality because the fastest horse I got was 14.227. I mean, rounding, right? That's technically 14.23. Maybe that's what Google meant was 14.23 is just 14.227, maybe? Either way, I can't do this anymore. I have too much blood on my hands and I no longer feel good about this. So we're gonna just put a pin in it and we aren't going to try anymore. Maybe we'll try in the future, but right now we are done. And I'm not even gonna try and get the fastest horse and the fastest jumpers together because I don't want to do that. So I'll just stick with the fastest and, well, we're just gonna be done. So now right next to the snippers, we're going to build a little pen for all those horses that we have over in our main area. And the reason that we're not putting them in the big enclosure just yet is because, well, it's not quite finished. And you can see there are a couple of horses in there right now, but once we get more in the area, it's going to be really hard to build. So we're just going to move these guys for now. And then when we're actually done in the big pen, we'll take them from here and put them over there. But right now we have to move all these guys. And I'm thinking the easiest way to do that is going to be building a portal and trying to get it on top of the roof of the nether. And then taking all these guys on leads and walking them across another roof to a portal over there. Sounds simple enough, but we'll see how much trouble they give me. Alright, gotta see where this one goes. Oh, that's convenient. Okay, we want this thing right in the middle. Okay, this should be a good enough spot. Perfect. All right, let's hope nothing goes wrong. I think we'll take the 2 fastest horses last, just in case anything goes wrong, and then we'll take all these other guys right now. And I also want to take all of these horses that have been cooped up in these pens for far too long. These are way too small for how many horses are in here. And I wasn't a total animal while I was killing all of those horses. I did try and save one of each, like, style, I guess. One of each kind of horse. And I don't believe I got every horse, but I got a lot of them, and we have a pretty unique diversity, which is always nice. Time to start moving horses. Now this is a stupid idea, but we're gonna take all of them at once. Come, my children. This is a lot harder than it looks. All right, this can't go wrong. Easy enough. And time for these 4, which really quickly I do want to name the jumped horses because I don't want to lose them in the crowd of all the horses. 5.25 J UMP. You and you. Perfect. And here we go, prize stallions. really quickly, I do feel bad for my donkey here, so I think we're gonna take one of these horses and the donkey, and we're gonna make an unholy abomination. Perfect. Now it's a donkey and a creature. You're welcome. We'll get some more donkey friends soon, and I think that side we can turn into some like goat pen or something like that. Although we probably have to modify it because goats are pretty jumpy. This is just random nonsense. Does not make any sense. No, it does not. I'm speaking with an accent. Come out. And now they are all home. Well, not yet. We're still finishing your home, but you're close enough to home. Home sweet temporary home. Now that we have a free pen, this is a perfect spot to put our camels. That way they're not like in the middle of the road. We'll still need to find a home for our froggies. Hello? But other than that, we should be fine. I just hope that they can't walk over the fence, because I did forget that they could do that till just now. Safety measures. Now that we took down the sugarcane farm, I want to build something. I think right next to the big stable, we're going to put a tinkerer's workshop and a little house for our tinkerer. Because honestly, I can't think of what else to put here. But now that means we have to get a bunch of resources. 45 minutes, 4.5 shulker boxes, and half of the Oppenheimer soundtrack later. We are going to use all of these resources for 2 builds. Now granted, a lot of these are like 1 block here and there. Don't know why I chose to do that to myself. But now that we have everything collected, it's time we actually get to building. That's the cue for the time lapse. Da 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 da! We finished. And now it's time for a tour. So obviously we still need a path going up towards the Tinker's office and one going off in that direction, but that is something we can tackle later. Of course, on the outside we have chimneys on both of them. This one is kind of connected to the furnace that's inside. This furnace is what the Tinkerer uses to create stuff. I mean, as a man living on the horse ranch, he's going to need to create a lot of like metal things like these horseshoes that we're going to pretend are horseshoes. And various other parts that he might need to fix, like all the wagons and anything else around here. This furnace is pretty cool. It's a very, very big hodgepodge of just a bunch of different blocks, but I think it works. It looks like a furnace. And obviously we have a bunch of torch flowers everywhere because I kind of wanted to incorporate some of the 1.20 stuff into these builds. And this one was just a little too close to the furnace and kind of got burned because, I mean, look at it. Look at that. And look at that. Doesn't the dead bush look exactly like a dead torch flower? Yeah, I think it does. But we tried to pack in as many nifty little details into this little space as we could. And one thing that I really wanted to try and incorporate was a bunch of airspace up at the top of the roof. So that's why we have this kind of funky-ish looking roof. But honestly, I love this. I think it came out so well. And I think I might incorporate this sometime in the future with that little like slat there and where it's kind of raised like it's just sitting on top of the bricks. I really like it. And of course, while we're out here, this is a dumpster. I don't know if you could tell, but it's a dumpster. These are like little rain buckets maybe, or, you know, just some extra little detail. I'm thinking about putting like a swinging gate here. That's, you know, hand quotes, swinging gate, where there might be like a trash collection truck or something that would come along, but it's also kind of like very advanced for any of the builds that we have in this area. So I don't know, it might just be a trash can and we'll just say it's a trash can and not worry about the lore. And then in here we have a little workshop, little workstations, chair, torch flower, like I said earlier, and just kind of, you know, like a tinkerer's workshop. And I really like this where it's like a disconnected wagon. I thought this was really cool. And it can kind of demonstrate how like the tinkerer can get under and work on the undercarriage or something like that. And then out here we have like a little woodworking station. If you want to picture this with me, you're kind of like a lumberjack or anyone that's cutting wood. You kind of chip out a little bit of the log, and that's kind of what that's supposed to be. And, you know, the guy got hot, so he put his cup down on top of it. There's a little workbench here that's missing some tools, and a little like power saw thingy where you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, anyway, and then a little path over here to his house, which turned out a little more witchy cottagecore than I initially intended, but I still really like it. I think it's really cool looking. And we have a little torch flower garden because we're going to say, lore-wise, the Tinkerer just loves his torch flowers, and, kind of makes sense why they're all around his shop. But all in all, I tried to keep it like a very circular-ish design, low to the ground, kind of not really taking up too much of the cityscape, and nice little chimney out front, some windows, and then through the door we have a bunch of details that I tried to get in here. Little kitchen area, a little plate, cup, a chair for him to sit on, a little bunk bed in case he has a friend, a nice wardrobe, and then plenty of books and stuff for reading or for storage or anything like that, and just a lot of neat details. One thing I did not find out until today, is if you didn't know this, chiseled bookshelves, if you have anything with a fortune enchantment on it, and you break it, it disappears. Why does it do that? It makes no sense. Like, I know bookshelves, they kind of disappear and you get the books back, but like, these are completely different than bookshelves, and I don't understand why they have to disappear. I accidentally broke like 2 of them while building this. Anyway, that's those 2 builds done. Now, the next thing I want to do is take this style of roof and plop it right there, because the blue is a little jarring, especially compared to all of the soft, muted colors that we have, all the browns, the reds, and the granites. It just stands out of place too much. So we're gonna do a little scar magic and do a twist 360, and we have our brand new roof, and I think that looks so much better, and it matches everything else perfectly. So I did a little bit of restructuring, and I completely changed this entire area. You see, now it's still the same fundamentally. This is supposed to be like our training grounds for the horses, but I kind of reimagined it a little bit. That's kind of the only thing that moved. The racetrack that we were initially going to test all of our speeds with that speed camera up there, this is still the same. I just actually made it look good and like it's supposed to be an actual speed track. And now this spot was pretty cool too. I thought it was going to be like an old, like kind of an obstacle course. You're kind of weaving in between the different pillars and all that stuff, and you kind of start on this end and make your way down. But it's also supposed to be like a much older area. And then right here is like a little judge's table, something where people can just like sit down and mark whether or not a horse is doing good, or like where they mess up or anything like that. But right here, I want to get started on like a little viewer stand, like people coming to watch the horses train, I guess. We honestly just need something to put in this corner. I didn't get stuck building those stands. I'm not procrastinating at all. I really needed to light this cave up because I could hear all of the mobs this slow down underneath where I was building. Yeah, but hey, look what I found. Yep, that's right. One of the rarest blocks in Minecraft. I found a deep slate emerald ore. I think this was a worthy distraction. And it also made me curious, how many of you have actually found a deep slate emerald ore? Because this is my first, like ever. And I don't know how rare they actually are. And yes, I did finish the stands. But right after that, I started working on a windmill. I just took the old windmill design that we had from like super early on in the series, kind of changed up some of the blocks and brought it over here because I really like the design on this one. I tried to make the colors match more of like the builds in the area, and I think it turned out really well. And yes, I am shamelessly reusing a couple of builds here. But like I said earlier, it's all for thematic purposes. It's not piracy if it's my own build. And I figured the horses probably need some more food, so this area right next to the windmill was the absolute perfect spot to put in another wheat field. The build you see up top there is another little feeding area that I decided to add in right next to the bigger stables, and I also put in a lot of these wheat carts all around the place. That way it kind of gave some like visual storytelling that yes, the wheat is being brought around and is available for the horses wherever and whenever they may need it. And with that, really the last thing I needed to do was add in a bunch of vegetation all around the sanctuary. Because as we all know, greenery is the easiest way to add detail into any area, especially with all this flat space around. It needed some details in those greeneries. We also came through here and moved all of our horses into the enclosure. And I also added in a lot more details to this feeding area. We changed these troughs to some water troughs, and they obviously had to connect to some kind of a water source. So we put in a water tower here that filters down into the ground and around up into that pipe and into these systems. And then over here we added another hay cart and an area for the horses to eat their food. This wall is kind of a harsh transition from that hill up there to this area down here, but I wasn't really sure what to do with this area. So if you have any ideas, please let me know. And I know I said the last thing was greenery, but really the last thing we had to do was implement a gatehouse. Just a very simple one, but it does the job. And it looks pretty nifty. So with that, I think we're going to put our shaders on and take a final walkthrough through our horse sanctuary and training grounds. This was a lot of fun trying to expand my build style over these multiple different builds, all trying to stick in one theme. I found it a little bit challenging at times and a little bit samey, kind of copy-pasty, but all in all, I'm very happy with the way this came out. Now, of course, you'll see I added in a bunch of flower fields, some lampposts, and even paths leading up to those areas that we said we were going to get paths. We even included like little small paths here and there, kind of connecting some of the builds together, trying to increase the realism of this place. And you know me, of course I had to add in some world building and some old ruins on top of this hill. I couldn't help myself. I'm incredibly proud of this project and how everything turned out here. I love it so much. I am sorry that this episode took a little bit longer to come out, but obviously, as you can see, it was a lot of work. But I'm super excited we completed it. Next episode, I think we're going to take a step back from this project, do something else, and then the episode after that, we're going to finish it. But now that all is said and done, I really appreciate you all sticking around to this point in the video. If you have any thoughts or comments, be sure to leave them down below. But really, I just appreciate you being here. And as always, I hope you have a very wonderful day.